This boat here that you see behind me is the Viracocha 2. I met a guy in 2000. We became friends. We planned it for 3 years, and in 2003 we built this grass boat made of Torpora reeds, found at Lake Titicaca, and we intended it to sell across the Pacific to Australia. Now, getting to Australia was the adventure. The scientific purpose was actually to follow in the footsteps of Tor Heyerdahl and to actually reach Polynesia. Now, in the past, Tor Heyerdahl in 1947 sailed to Kontiki. That was a balsa log raft, logs lashed together by rope. It was a drift sail from Peru to the Marquesa Islands. What this was a reed ship that we actually made into a sailing vessel and actually traversed the Humboldt Current directly off the shore of Viña del Mar in Chile, and then went around through the vortex currents of Easter Island and landed on Easter Island, showing that you can actually sail one of these boats. And for those that are sailors, and by the way, I had never sailed a day in my life before this expedition, and I've never sailed a day in my life since that expedition, except for a Kuta boat off the Mornington Peninsula that my wife and I were in that boat for about an hour. So that's my only sailing experience ever. So what I want to do this time is we want to make it across to Australia from Peru in one of these boats. We're looking to do that in a couple of years. It's very, very early stages of planning. I mean, Todd asked me, and thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, what the name of the expedition was, and I can tell you that it's so early that we don't have a name yet. I was thinking of something like Expedition Mariam. Mariam was the name of the dugong in Thailand that was a very, very young dugong that got separated from its mother and father. The Thai folks picked it up at a beach, nursed it. It died just a few weeks ago, if not days ago, of plastics ingestion. Now, because I've built a boat like this in the past and attempted the adventure of it, I can tell you honestly, and for those that can identify, the soul's calling is not to build one of these grass boats and sail across the Pacific. It would be the first in modern history, which would be great to be a part of, but it is what is the science that we can put around this. And Peter Benson, one of the reasons that I'm actually a club member now, was telling me a story just before I got up here about his father, who was in the RN, Royal Navy, and said, listen, you'll never learn anything from the bow of a very high ship. It's when you're at sea level that you can really make those observations. And Tor in the 69, when he sailed the Raw expedition, the first one, which broke apart, he noticed a lot of oil clots and other debris, and in 1970 when he did Raw 2, he had worked and collaborated with the UN to be able to report back his findings. And so with this next expedition, personally my soul's calling is to try to make it to Australia. It moves at about 3 to 4 knots an hour. It's a very slow, arduous journey, but it's to study the microplastics we control every day, all day. We can study those microplastics, we can understand the impacts to fish life, and to report that and give that back to science. And I called up a handful of people just trying to make contact. I contacted a guy named Curtis Ebsmeyer. He's world renowned for his flotsam studies. So this is studying debris fields in the oceans, the currents. And he said, what's so special about your expedition? I'm like, well, shit, it's a grass boat. Sailing across the Pacific Ocean, I don't know, what else do you want? I said, actually, Curtis, that's the reason I'm calling. I get it. I know that people can build a grass boat and attempt it to, it is an extreme adventure, and there's a lot of people out there crazy enough to try to do it. But I'm asking you, Curtis, what is it that makes this special? Tell me what it is that science needs. And he said, you know what? He said, if you're telling me you've got a platform at sea level running at 3 to 4 knots and you can cross the Pacific, if you can study microplastics and understand the impact, he said, we know a lot about the North Pacific Gyre. We know a lot about the North Atlantic Gyre. We know very little about the South Pacific Gyre. And if you can give that back to science, that will be very, very meaningful. And so immediately I attached to that, and that's what I want to do. I want to build this grass boat, sail it across the Pacific Ocean, and study microplastics all the way across it and whatever else that we can pick up in that vein of raising awareness, understanding, and protecting our oceans. So thank you. I just wanted to make a quick pitch because I'll be honest with you, it's a bit daunting. Yes, I've taken part, I've built one of these in the past, but to try to lead this and to get this off the ground from day one, what a wonderful community. If you guys, this is just one of the pictures at sea. And this is the South Pacific Gyre, so you can see the currents and how every kind of thing kind of centers. Ultimately, all the plastics and debris will center in the middle of the Pacific. And our voyage would be across the black line there, and that would be to again study those currents and the pollution in the oceans. So if any of you have my email down at the bottom for those that can remember names and letters, for those that remember numbers, contact me by mobile. But I need support, even if it's moral support, a little pat on the back would be worth a lot at this early stage. So thank you very much. Todd, back over to you.